All right. Hello, I'm Jason, and we are playing Alien, the RPG from Free Legion through the Gauntlet. Um, if this game is part of the Gauntlet online gaming community, if you like what you see, you can check us out. It's gauntlet-rpg.com. We're going to play a cinematic scenario called Chariot of the Gods. This is my hack. If you have seen or played Chariot of the Gods, you may be interested in this because it is quite a bit different from what's published in the module. A cinematic scenario has 3 acts that will be playing out over these 4 sessions. We will have building tension, building excitement, and hopefully a lot of body count by the end. I'm working from an Alien headcanon, which includes the first 2 movies, parts of the 3rd movie, the Alien Isolation game, which is wonderful. Check it out if you haven't already. And some of the books and comics that have been published over the many years since Alien came out in 1979. I'm going to go around to the different players now, and they're going to introduce themselves briefly and their characters. Each character has a secret agenda. Keep that secret. Hopefully that will come out through play, but for now, keep that secret to everybody. Introduce yourself with your pronouns, your character with their pronouns, their class, their job, their background, their talent, their signature item, and their buddies and rivals. So let me pick on, again, working from our Roll20. I did Steven first last time, so I'm going to go this time to Leandro. You're up.
Cool. Hi, my name's Leandro. Use he him pronouns. I saw Jason put on a beanie and I got cold, so I put my hood up in solidarity. For this series of Alien, I am playing Davis. Full name Leah. She is the pilot of the USC SS Montero, the floating haunted mansion that we're going to be trapped in for the month. She's 27 years old and she's an adrenaline junkie. She's kind of like someone who likes to be stimulated quite a bit, and turns out working in a cargo ship that does, her daily runs moving, I don't know, spice. No, that's a different alien universe. That's a different sci-fi universe. Spices, anything like that. It gets monotonous, and so she's got a bit of a stimulant problem as well, and it's kind of just bored out of her mind. So part of her thing is that like she has to get a stimulant every shift or her stress level goes up. That's kind of her thing at the moment. She's got a talent for being reckless, in that she can push any skill roll based on agility twice, unlike everyone else can only push it once. And her signature item is a pill bottle that is dangerously close to running out. You'll know she's around because you can hear her shaking it, being like, really? Only like, how many is up there? So it's kind of like a telltale sign that she's around. She's irritable when it gets that low, I suppose. Yeah, that's Davis. Hopefully she'll be fun to be around with.
And just 2 quick notes, Leandro. Your stress doesn't go up if you don't get your fix. It's just you can't relieve your stress.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
The second thing is you have 1 dose left in that bottle. Okay? So you're good for 1 more shift.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to Miller. Richard, tell us about yourself and your character.
All right, my name is Richard. I am playing Captain Vanessa Miller of the USCSS Montero. I am essentially trying to make a move to own this vessel, but I've got to make a little more money in order to overhaul the ship, and then it'll make economic sense for me. So as it is, I'm kind of in a losing economic position, so I'm trying to to make ends meet. And I have the ability to pull rank on anyone and kind of make them follow my orders. But that does increase my stress level as it happens. Anything else?
Let's see. What's your signature item?
Oh, yes, that's right. My signature item is a Wayland Yutani patch on my jacket.
Okay. That sounds good. Let's move on to, I think, Jammy. Yes.
Hey, Jammy, they, them pronouns, please. I'm super excited to play today. And today I am playing Cham, our roughneck. Cham, he is the cargo handler on our haunted ship, haunted house ship, as Leandro put it. And he grew up alone. He didn't really make friends moving from colony to colony. His parents were distant, having to make ends meet. So Cham really sees our current crew as the closest thing to a family he's ever had. So it's very important to Cham to make sure that he can do what he can for his family. And I'm really excited to play his character because he has like a strength 5. I will need an excuse to like use that. And his talent is true grit. So life on the frontier is a constant struggle. Luckily, you have what it takes to overcome anything that comes your way. You can push any skill blow based on strength twice, not just once like other characters. Of course, this also increases my stress level by 1. And my signature item is a rosary. So that's really interesting. I have in my head, I feel like Cham is not necessarily religious, but I think it's something that was once important to his mother, and no longer was, and that's why it's important to him now.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I don't remember if Leandro did, but let's backtrack. Who are your rivals and buddies, if you have any? Leandro, did you mention yours? I don't recall.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. My buddy is the erstwhile captain, actually, Captain Miller. Hopefully, she's well. If we're buddies, then she must put up with my nonsense.
And I don't think you have a rival, do you?
No, not right now.
All right. And Miller, who are your rivals and buddies?
Well, my buddy is Davis, and my rival is the one character that isn't being played by anybody.
And that character will be in the game, so that character is
so
Wilson. I'll be playing
right.
Wilson. I'll talk about them at the end. And then Jammy, who is your rival and buddy?
Cham loves everybody, so Cham has no rival. But Cham's buddy is Rai.
Okay. And that leaves us with Steven.
Hi, my name's Steven, and I use the pronouns he, him. And I'll be playing Rai, Kayla Rai, pronouns she, her. I'm the technician on the Montero ship, trying to keep everything together. I'm super bitter because this job sucks. Everybody else gets paid more than I do, and they don't deserve it. And I need it really bad. Actually, so my family back home needs it really bad. My brother's really sick, and I'm sure everybody in the crew has seen me come out of my, after one of those messages that get sent to us from time to time. I've come out after hearing from my family, and I've been really upset. And I've tried to shake everyone down for money. But basically I'm wearing really old shit, and I just have nothing. So all my money's going back home. My talent is I've seen it and I've done everything before. Nothing surprises me. Once per act in cinematic play, I can ignore all ones from a single roll. My signature item is a worn photo of my brother that I keep in my, jacket pocket, my vest pocket. My buddy is Chan, and my rival is Miller because she doesn't deserve all that money.
Right. And I definitely follow with Rye, follow like what they established in the first movie, which is where the technicians got half shares, and everybody else got a full share, and they bitched about it the whole movie until they died.
Whoa.
And one other thing, I maybe you guys have already said this, but what genders do your characters identify as? If that's a lot of the pictures and the names kind of point you in a direction, but I'm perfectly comfortable if you prefer to go another direction with your gender. Leandro, again, I think Rye or Davis looks kind of female to me, but what do you think?
Yeah, I've stuck to female, so she's she her.
Okay.
Pronouns.
And Richard, how about Miller?
I'm going with she, her as well.
Okay. And Jamie with Cham?
He, him.
Okay. And Stephen with Rye?
She, her.
Okay. One last thing, talk briefly about safety. We are using quite a few different safety tools in this game. Try to keep everybody comfortable as best as possible. Because I've explained to everybody that this is an alien game, so there is going to be survival horror. There's going to be gore. There's going to be death. It's going to be bloody. Their characters are quite possibly going to die. I didn't mention, but I'll mention now that if you lose your character to death, we will find a character for you to play. An NPC will suddenly become your PC. And in addition, in this game, there is treachery. There is people not being nice to each other, and I've suggested they each consider leaning into that in their role play. We are also, as I mentioned, we're using safety tools. We're using the X card. We're using lines and veils, and our lines and veils that we've established are we have lines on sexual abuse, animal abuse, and violence towards children, and we have veils on torture for information and consensual sex. Okay? And we also are using the open door. If for any reason you need to leave or you just want to leave, go ahead. No explanation needed. I hope you can come back, but if you can't, that's fine. And we are also, in the line we talked about that we're assuming best intentions, best assumptions about each other's behavior, especially since your characters are, and my NPCs are probably going to not be very nice to each other quite a bit. Let's go ahead and get started. So we begin with a black screen. It's silent. Suddenly, there's a ripple in space in the center of the screen. There is a mosaic of rainbow of colors that appear amongst this ripple. And then there's a sudden bright flash that whitens the screen completely for a moment and fades. And all that remains is a single dot. And this dot quickly gets larger and larger, and we realize that it's a spacecraft moving towards the camera. This spacecraft is huge. It's over 300 meters long. That's the size of American supercarrier. And this is, any of you would recognize this as a interstellar freighter. And these craft are 99% engine, fuel stores, and cargo space. There is a tiny little living space, med bays with engines and fuel and cargo space built around it. It's huge, but it's mostly mechanics. the camera, approaches the craft approaches sort of at a sort of a 45-degree angle, and we can see that it has running lights along the side of it now, and we see that it's in large letters painted on the side of the craft. It says USC SS Montero. And in the corner of the screen, green text reads out and says, Commercial Freighter USC SS Montero, Crew 5, Cargo 200,000 tons of helium-3. Course, en route from Anchor Point Station to Frontier Colony Sutter's World. The camera passes through the shuttered windows in the front of the ship, which must be the bridge, as we go into a tight claustrophobic space full of flight chairs, terminals. It's dark. And one of the screens lights up and begins to boot. First, we see the logo of Weyland-Yutani, which is sort of a sun with wings kind of on each side of it. It actually looks like... I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It looks like that right down the bottom there. And the logo is followed by a boot menu, which is a bunch of random numbers, low res, clunky CRT screen. It makes a lot of noise, a lot of clunking, jittery noises. And the light of the screen reflects off the blast helmets that are above each of the flight chairs. The camera moves down a hallway. It leaves the bridge. It passes down a hallway that lights up. And we see a padded hallway with white padding lining the walls. There's cabinets and little niches everywhere along the walls. Everything's packed in and secured. There's little square little emblems that mean something to each of you, representing what's inside each of these cabinets. We move it out into a galley, and we see a big table with plastic tins full of cereal. There's a couple cans of beer that have tipped over. They're laying on the table. There's a couple empty coffee cups. We move through the galley down a hallway, and as the camera moves, each section lights up, and we come to a large blast door, which with a hydraulic chung opens up, and the camera moves into a hexagonal chamber with a large bay of cryo beds in the middle. There are 6 beds. Or actually, no, sorry, there's 5 beds. And each of them, again, with another hydraulic sort of hiss, they open up. And the beds, the fronts of the beds, the covers raise up, and sort of like they're arranged in sort of like a flower formation. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and practice some dice rolling. And I'm going to have everybody make a stamina roll to see who wakes up first. So again, you just want to go to your character sheet, and there should be a button. It's a strength-based skill.
Are we taking off that stress we
yes, take off that stress that I had you put on, yes. I'm actually going to go ahead and roll for the NPC too.
I actually like how we can't see anything but the 6, the crosshair, because every time I see a 5, I get so frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, you were almost a 6.
All right. So, Cham, I think you forgot to take off your stress, but it doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
didn't affect the
yeah,
roll or
yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
So
because like
just go ahead
Richard
and take that off
exactly
so we
asked
don't
about
forget.
it, like when I wrote, I forgot. But yeah.
So Rye and Cham both start to stir, the two friends, and they wake up. Um, when you wake up from cryo sleep, inevitably you're dehydrated. You have a headache. Your uh, your chest hurts. Your blood pressure is all messed up. Um, you feel weak and super groggy. Um, it takes you a few minutes. You kind of you open your eyes and you just lay there. Maybe a minute later, you rise up. You sit up, and then maybe a minute or two later, you fall out of you fall out of your cryo bed. The first thing you want to do when you wake up is you want to eat and you want to drink to try to recover your body. It puts it through the ringer. So at different rates, you each make your way into the galley. And what's the chatter like in the galley today? How, or in other words, how can we tell who are these? How can the viewers tell who the buddies are, and how can we tell who rivals are, based on the chatter?
Ooh, I think Cham is actually making sure that Rai gets food and water first before Cham feeds themselves. Like that's what, because Cham know Rai has been really distracted by what's going on back home.
And I think Rye kind of goes to one of the tables that's kind of off to the side in the galley, and kind of sets a place a little bit for Cham, and then eyes the others as they all come in, especially Miller. Just kind of.
Miller is gonna kind of hang back and be the last to enter, and she will kind of linger about 4 or 5 feet back before entering the hatch to kind of catch any buzz that's happening before she walks in, and then kind of lets everybody get kind of comfortable before she comes in and makes everyone uncomfortable.
Davis will spot that. She's gonna walk in. It's kind of like gives you like a "what are you doing" sort of look, and just kind of like gives you like a playful shake. She's playfully shaking her head like, "Oh, come on, you don't have to be. I guess you're the captain." But she'll walk into the galley before Miller and starts just grabbing stuff.
And the regulation garb for a space trucker for contracted to Weyland-Yutani is a jumpsuit of some sort, usually. But everybody or most people tend to personalize it in some way. Do any of you have any sort of personal aspects that show who you are based on your garb?
My jumpsuit's secondhand and super cheap. It's been patched in a few places. This isn't what was probably requisitioned for this trip. I probably sold that and got a cheap one.
Right, because Weyland-Yutani, of course, makes you buy all of your clothing. You also are paying for all your food, but coffee is free. You each know that that it's the year 2183, and to put that in relation with the alien universe, this is about 3 years after the events of Aliens. So you all know that there's some colony in the middle of nowhere called LV-426 that disappeared, or on a moon called LV-426 that disappeared. You know that a Marine frigate called the Sulaco disappeared, hasn't been seen since. And you know that there was a prison / lead works on the planet called Fiorina 161 that was shuttered by the company, allegedly due to a cholera outbreak. But there have been, on the dark web, so to speak, there have been rumors that a survivor from Fiorina 161 printed a book called Space Beast, which describes a creature brought to the planet that killed almost all of the prisoners in the lead works. You guys are space truckers running the Gauntlet, which is a route from the far frontier carrying, or actually you're going the other way. You're coming from relative civilization, Anchor Point Station, to the frontier. You're traveling to a Weyland-Yutani colony called Sutter's World. It's a new colony, and they have a desperate need for energy. What you're carrying are 72 tanks of highly volatile helium-3. Helium-3 is radioactive, and during the course of your journey, it's supposed to sort of become more stable through radioactive decay. But as of right now, most of it's probably still pretty dangerous. So usually this job would be given to a tug, which is a ship that is able to tug a tanker behind it, which would be terribly more safe. But since they were in such a hurry, they gave this job to you guys. So you're carrying the equivalent of a thermonuclear bomb in your cargo tanks. The trip so far has been routine. You left Anchor Point Station. You quickly started to make your preparations for FTL travel. And the only thing that was off was for a short time, there were some sensor anomalies. You kept getting a ping at the very edge of your sensors. But Rye checked it out, and it seemed to go away. And you all went into hypersleep. And you should be where you should be there now. The last member of your crew walks in. This is Wilson. Wilson is a company agent that has been traveling with you for the last 6 months. In fact, all of you have been together for only about 6 months. You've made some friends, you've made some rivals in that time, and you've done several runs together. And Wilson has been an observer for Weyland-Yutani during that time. It's very clear, Wilson makes it very clear, that he has the power to decide whether or not Miller is going to be given the opportunity to make enough money to buy this ship from the company. Wilson walks in, and he is a slight dark-skinned man. He's got a beard, well-groomed beard. He's a little chubby. He wears a fine suit, and he walks in, and he says, Rye, could you give me a cup of coffee, please?
Rye hops up and immediately starts, getting the cup.
Oh, thank you. You're always so helpful. So, Captain, is everything running smoothly?
So far as we can tell, everything's nominal, but I think we need to give ourselves a little chance to shake the sleep off before we run a full check on everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't mind a bowl of cereal. Anybody got an extra bowl, a spoon, maybe? Cham? Oh, great, thank you. He starts to eat, and he says, well, Miller, I want you to let you know, and actually all of you guys, I want you to know you've done exceptionally well these last 6 months. And taking on this job really proves a lot to the company. you all understand the volatility of this cargo and the importance to take it as far out into the frontier to this colony. You're really taking a great risk, and the company knows that. It's going to go in my report. I want you all to know that. I think this might be the last thing you need to really convince the company to go ahead and give you a chance to get some real good jobs, some real big money makers. How's that sound? I'll take your silence as positive. And I'm
Yeah,
going to
because Chad
go.
was just looking at Rye like, is that good, right?
I'm feeling a little down myself after that sleep. I'm just never really gotten used to the way you guys have to cryo sleep. I'm going to go, to one of the cubicles and have a nap. Okay, if you guys need anything, you let me know. And he stands
Yeah.
up. He holds out his coffee cup to you, Rye, to see if you'll pour him some more coffee.
Yeah, and I run over and I grab the pot and I pour it and I say, "Boss, that sounds great. Thank you."
Great, thanks. And he walks off, and the actual living area you're in, if you actually look at the map, this. Or do I have you guys on the Montero map right now? You're in the galley, and the actual living area. There's a lot more. There's an engine room and stuff if you go down deeper, but this is just sort of the living area. You can see it's actually very small. When he talks about a cubicle, there's basically just like little cubicles sort of recessed into the walls, and even in the galley here. So, he's not going very far. Regardless, there's a Miller, you would notice this. It's sort of second nature to you. You always kind of keep one eye on the computer it doesn't talk. The computer is an alien. They're not the kind of Star Trek talky computers. They use flashing lights and whatnot to show that something's going on, and you see the signal displayed over one of the doorways, probably the door leading up to the bridge, that says request captain to mother's chamber. Is basically, it's a little light, but that's what that means. And it's not an emergency, but it's basically mother wants to talk to you.
All right, everyone. Looks like mother's calling. I expect you all have things to keep you busy. I'll tend to my own business.
Okay. So you head up onto the bridge, and more of the computers have come on here, but it's still a dark place. The shutters are down, which is kind of standard procedure. When you're approaching a planet or something, you might raise them up, or if you're trying to land or something. But generally, it's dark in here. There's those monitors, like I said, are flickering to life. There's several different stations. There's a pilot station, navigator, sensors, communications, and so on. A captain's area. But off to the side, and if you look at the map, it's sort of like around the corner there. There's a short little tunnel that leads into Mother's chamber, and you have to slide you have a pass card or a key card that you slide in, and then you have to input a code, and the outer door will open, and then you go in, and you have to slide your card again, and then put in another code, and then finally the actual inner door will open, which will lead into Mother's chamber. And this is just like the Mother's chamber in Alien. So it's this, compared to everything else you've seen, it's pristine. It's no dust ever gets in here. It's lit up. The walls are white. They're covered in all these blinking lights. Who knows what they mean or what they do? Computers are huge in this game. This is like 1980s types computers. These are like building size computers. There's a big chunk of your ship. It's just computer. And there's one a seat in the middle that's kind of slides around, and you're supposed to sit down in it, and it slides around, and then there's this little screen, and there's a keyboard in front of you, It's not like our keyboards. It's this one thing that watching Alien is there's like 10 buttons, and he pushes the button and like, somehow it creates the words you want to type, but who knows how that works. So that's what that's what you're faced with. And you see on the screen in front of you, it says Weyland-Yutani Mother 6500. That's the name of the computer, and it says welcome back, Captain. How are you feeling? And you type in.
About as well as can be expected, Mother.
Excellent. I have some news. We have not. We have detected a signal. You have been awakened from cryosleep prior to reaching Sutter's world. The company has made it clear, or I am. This is a high priority signal as determined by the company. Your orders have changed. You are to now. Hold on a second. Let me catch up with my notes here. The signal appears to be a distress call from an unknown ship. As described in each of your contracts, you are required to investigate any SOS detected in the course of your mission, at risk of losing all shares if you should not comply. The message, I have recorded the message. Would you like me to play it back for you?
Yes, do so.
The message, it's a computer. It's a recorded computer voice. It's not a human voice. And the message says, emergency. USC SS Kronos requesting assistance. Current coordinates and trajectory are... It's all garbled. It can't tell where this thing is or where it was going. We are currently not able to detect exactly where this message is originating from. It will require user effort to triangulate the location of this message. Do you have any questions?
What's our time frame on this?
Unknown. It is the current condition of the distressed ship is unknown. How long it has been sending this message is unknown. Protocol suggests that you should make every effort to investigate and rescue any survivors as soon as possible.
Any other data on the Cronus?
Yes. The Kronos, it brings up a file on this ship. The Kronos is a Weyland-Yutani SEV Magellan-class spacecraft. You know that SEV stands for Science Exploratory Vehicle. A Magellan class means that it is a top-of-the-line science vessel, much smaller than your vessel, but extremely expensive, top-of-the-line equipment, the very opposite of the Montero. It's listed as having launched in the year 2162, so it's a little over 20 years old, which is brand new in this universe, basically. This is the same. This is a upgraded model of the ship that was in Prometheus. If you guys saw the movie Prometheus, it looks kind of the same, but it's just upgraded and newer. It has it also kicks out some floor plans of the ship. Let me go ahead and make those available to you guys. So if you go to handouts, there should be a series of handouts that'll be available to you guys here in a second.
Very cool.
Okay, so you should be able to see a picture of the Kronos called Kronos, and then Kronos A deck, B deck, C deck, and D deck. Each of these pictures for the decks, I couldn't fix it. They're a little bit fuzzy, probably a little hard to read. If there's one in particular you want to see more clearly, let me know, and I will drag you guys over to on the page that has each deck, and you can see those now if you want to. So, for now though, I'll leave you with these kind of little pictures, but those are available at least to Miller at this point. Captain Miller, do you have any other questions or concerns?
Not at this time.
And the computer says acknowledging, standing by. Seems to have said it's told you everything it needs to tell you.
Okay, so it's gone into
Standby
mode.
Yeah.
Okay, I will back out and reseal the hatches to Mother and make my way back to the galley.
Okay. You're there. Everyone's probably just still eating cereal and cooking up some pasta or whatever.
Yeah, Chad was cooking for everybody.
Actually, I have a question. Can I do something while all this is going on?
Sure.
Well, with the boss talking to Mother and the company man asleep, now's a good time. So, Leandro, how public is it that you are looking for some pills?
Yeah, she's not shy about it. Also, Davis has made her own pot of coffee for herself, and she's parked it right in front of her, and she's kind of like just grumpily eating cereal. She's already drained like 2 cups of coffee. It doesn't look like to be working.
So I'd like to see if it's possible. Tell me if this is out of character or this would be bad. I want to go to the medical station, the medic bay, right?
Yeah.
Med lab, and I want to take some stimulants and sell them to Davis.
Okay.
Yeah. How much trouble would this get me in? Because I'm not going to risk, losing.
It would be up to. It would be up to whether Miller reports you or not, or Wilson. So let me ask Miller, Captain Miller. Davis has a problem with with pills. Would you have secured the supply of amphetamines, or would you have left it available for someone to access?
I've had discussions with Davis about her problem, and the reason she's running low is because I'm kind of keeping tabs on everything, and so her supply kind of has to go through me, and I'm trying to taper her off.
Okay. Okay. So it's established that she comes to you, when it's time for her to get her fix, and otherwise it's hands off.
Mhm.
So, Rye, you can do that. You know that it's probably not going to go well with the captain.
Okay.
It might not go well at all. And it's also probably locked, I imagine. Is that right, Miller? Okay.
Yeah, but it's with the intention of really keeping Davis out of it.
Okay. Would you have secured it with sort of a mechanical lock? This is probably too detailed, but would you have secured it with sort of a mechanical lock, like I don't know if you guys saw the movie or in the game Alien Isolation, they have this sort of like X thing that sort of like secures and you like lock it in and you have to like have a key or whatever to undo it. So would it be a mechanical sort of locking down the med bay, or would you have done it sort of with a code or something, or with your key card?
What I imagine is that the medical bay has something akin to a Pixis system, if you're familiar with that.
No, but is
It's
that sort of a electronic thing?
It's what hospitals use to dispense medication.
Okay.
And it kind of tracks what people take and all that. And I've gone in, and generally speaking, most of the medical supplies are in pretty loose protocols, but I basically just tightened up the Pixis system to give only myself access to the stimulants.
Okay. So what I'm going to say then is that Rye, you know this, and you know that not only are you going to need to open it, but you're going to have to cover your tracks. It's going to require some hacking. So you can make a Comtech roll, but it's going to be at -1 die. So when it says modifier, if you want to do it,
Yeah.
it's going to be if you fail, of course, we'll see what happens.
Your Comtech is pretty good though.
Yeah, my contact is pretty good. My only concern is that it sounds complicated. The captain's watching for this. I'm not going to risk anything for this.
Okay.
This was, if I could get in and quickly just score something to sell to Davis, that would be some quick cash. But in this case, everyone's watching, and the job's more important.
Yeah, probably the best you can do is give her an extra strong cup of coffee. There's not much else that's available.
Yeah.
Now, I will say though, I mentioned that Davis has, you've got one dose left in your precious bottle. The captain probably could dispense, your dose, your regulated dose for you if you were to ask, probably.
Yeah, I think Davis seems the type to like don't ask in advance, and she'll only do it once she's completely like just empty. And this coffee's not doing anything for her right now, so she'll probably have to take her last dose very soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll leave it to you then. You can either take the one in, you're, like I said, you're not going to gain stress or anything mechanically speaking, but yeah, you're definitely starting to feel it. So you might have trouble relaxing as we go on until you do take a dose. And Miller, you guys were supposed, you probably haven't shared this with Davis, but that in the med lab, you've only got one dose left. You were expecting to be in Sutter's world when you woke up. So that's going to be bad news when Davis finds out that you're not there. Now that brings us to back to the galley then, and Captain Miller, you just talked to Mother. You return. Your crew is here. Wilson's sleeping, but the rest of them are here. What do you tell them?
Hey, everyone, it looks like we've got a little diversion. You're probably wondering why we're not seeing Sutter's world anywhere near us. We've been dropped out of FTL to engage in a little bit of rescue. We received a distress call from a science vessel.
Wait. When you say rescue operation, you meaning us?
Yeah, we got a distress call, and protocols say we can't ignore it.
Do we get any bonuses for this? Because this seems more than a bit ridiculous.
Gotta tell you, Davis, I'm not happy about this either. But it's not so much that we get a bonus as we can lose the whole ball of wax if we don't answer this call.
Oh, so it's a stick. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Some days I'd prefer a carrot, but I'm not running a corporation, I guess. All right, okay, fine. Did we get coordinates? Well, I'll punch it in or whatever.
It sounds like this is the kind of thing we should talk to Wilson about. Let's wake him up and see what he says.
Do we know why they gave the distress signal? Like, do we know what's going on there?
I heard the message, and it was pretty vague. We're just gonna have to. We know it's somewhere around here. We're gonna have to pinpoint them and track them down and see what we can do.
And at any point, if you guys go up to the bridge, you can patch through the message again if somebody wants to hear it, or you can show them, the blueprints, that you got too. Yeah, you can wake Wilson up. In fact, he's just kind of laying in his bed, and he's got a personal data pad that he's sort of scribbling on, and he sees you come in, and he kind of like he turns it off real quickly, and he says, who went to get him, by the way?
I did.
Rye, of course. And he says, "Oh, Rye, you're such a helpful young lady. What can I do for you?"
The captain says something's gone wrong. That there's some kind of rescue mission from the company that's been sent to us. So I think, we should all talk about it, and you should come out and listen to what the captain has to say.
Okay, all right. And he stands up and he straightens out his suit a little bit, and sorts out his tie, and he walks in and he says, "Captain Miller, Rye tells me we've got a message from Mother, some sort of distress."
Yeah. Do we have any kind of display in the galley, or do we need to relocate?
No, you'd have to head up to the bridge.
All right, everybody, let's take this to the bridge. I think that might help us to get an idea of what we're dealing with.
Okay. Everybody troops up to the bridge. You each have a station here. Rye has sort of like a tech station where he monitors the levels of all the electronic devices. And same with Cham, you've got a station where you're checking out the structural stability of the ship. And of course, the pilot has a station, and towards the back is where Miller has a station if you guys are working on actually, piloting and landing and all that. And Wilson has just a kind of a seat off to the side. And you get there, and when you first enter the bridge, there's sort of a light table where you can call up things. And I imagine you call up the message, or you call up the blueprints, the Chronos.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the message, and then I'm gonna presume that the display is kind of cycling through the floor plans and specifications.
Sure. You check them out. In addition to do you guys want me to repeat the message? It's quick. Emergency. USCSS Chronos requesting assistance. Current coordinates and trajectory are and you see the blueprints. The Chronos is, one second. Its manufacturer is Wayland Corp, Wayland Yutani. It's a heavy exploration prospecting vehicle, Magellan class, registration number 142601. It has a, where's that other info?
Rye, do you think you might be able to clean up that signal and get us some clearer coordinates on that?
I can try. It's going to be messy. That's a fancy ship. I've never worked on anything so fancy. I don't.
Well, I just need you to see if you can unscramble those comms a little bit.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
The ship is about 130 meters long, which is about 1/3 of the length of, or one and a half to 1/3 of the way of the length of your ship, but it's still big. It's 49 meters across. It's 36 meters high. It uses 4 nuclear-powered ion plasma engines. It uses ionized plasma as fuel. Its power plant is a nuclear fission. Hold on. Stupid thing. It has a crew of 17. And yes, Rye, you can try to triangulate the signal. So as you guys move around, you mark where you can kind of think the signal's coming from, and you start to create these data points that you start to try to create a best guess as to where this signal's coming from. You listen to it on your headphones and stuff. It's faint, but you pick it up. It will take a little bit of time. Does anyone else want to do anything while that's happening?
So I think I cuss a little bit while I'm doing that. And I think I also look at the captain. I say, what's the plan? What's the priority here? Is it the people or is it the ship?
Well, seeing as this is a distress signal, we have to presume there's some people alive there. Didn't get any clear info as to whether the intel or the human resources were more important, but I'm not inclined to abandon the human factor unless we come across a derelict full of corpses.
Okay.
So why don't you coordinate with Davis once you have some workable intel, and we'll make our way there.
Okay, that sounds good, because what I was going to say, somebody could help Rye, but it sounds like you're giving Davis that job to help out. So Davis, you get down in your pilot station, and Rye sends you different navigation points to move towards. You're moving at sublight, of course. You're slowly moving from point to point. And Rye, we're gonna, after a couple hours, you think you might have gotten it. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a ComTech roll straight up. Oh, actually, +1 die because Davis is helping you.
Okay.
Ooh. All those dice and no hits. All right. Now let me say, this is not catastrophic. The ship is not going to blow up as a result of missing this, but you do have, if you want to succeed, you can choose to push it.
And so do we find the ship either way?
You will, but something
It'll
is
just
going to
take
happen. Something maybe not perfect is going to happen.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to push it. So that's 1
Okay.
stress.
Add a stress, yep. Reroll all the dice that were not hits. So everything in your case.
Okay. And including the bonus die.
It'll automatically roll the stress die. Add the modifier again.
Right. Wow.
All right. Just barely.
Wow. I bet a lot of them were 5s. I'm just going to put it out there.
So you build up a little stress, but you manage to triangulate and find the point where this ship is. You're able
the way
to...
we see this stress on screen is Rye's sitting there, and you see this bead of sweat come across her brow, and she's frantic with some controls for a little bit because she's lost the signal, and then, oh, okay, I can hear it again.
All
and
right,
probably
take it easy,
what you may or may not tell the others is that you realized that the current the point that you had told Davis to move towards would have had you have a collision with this ship, but you were able to correct it just in time. So Davis, doesn't need to do something fancy to avoid a collision.
Can we raise the Cronus on communications?
You can try. First of all, though,
It's going to take us a while to get there, isn't it?
The sensors tell you that you're approaching the ship, but there are external cameras, but just good old-fashioned looking out the window also is a good way to see what's out there. Do you want to raise the shutters? Or you want to keep them shut?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay. So the shutters raise up, these heavy blasts, and you see if you weren't told by Rye what's there, you wouldn't see it. It's just a faintly rectangular-ish ship shape in space that you're approaching. It gets a little bit bigger, but there's no lights. It's dark. As you get closer, Davis, expertly approaches the ship without any mishap. Do you want to kick on the floodlights? You have floodlights on your ship that you can, light this thing up.
Yeah, Davis, kick on the floodlights. Let's get a closer look.
Okay. And you see
Davis kind of kicked her on.
I'm sorry,
she
go
kind of
ahead.
like just says, sorry, my internet's freaking out. It's getting weirdly fritzy. When she kicks on the floodlights, she just kind of calls out the bridge. Anyone want to bet it's going to be full of horrible, horrible corpses that we're going to have to clean up?
Yeah, maybe it was just like a fuel leak. What's like a gas leak? Like Cham is just really positive that it's just a harmless thing.
And Wilson says, "Oh, Davis, stop grumbling. This is your opportunity to get rich. When I was saying before, the company was going to be impressed by you guys. Imagine the marks you'll get in their ledger when you bring back a ship worth, I don't know, 5 million Davises."
I guess that depends on what the exchange rate of Davis is to whatever the hell we would wait on the Titanic. And I think Davis is just like, she's kind of like blithering on because the coffee's wearing off faster than thought, and she tries to make a crack and is like, ugh. All right, well, whatever it is we're getting paid, I hope that will get the captain to buy us something better than this bean juice we have in the galley. No, that's not coffee. It's just juice, just water with beans in it.
You guys got a new handout, the Chronos Spacewalk, it's called. It's an info/art folder. It's a picture of the Chronos seen from outside. There's a person spacewalking that may or may not be you guys in a few minutes. We'll find out. So there's this ship. It's huge, smaller than your ship, but there's this huge ship. It's completely dark. At first light, you see, the sensors show that it's moving at 0.04 light speed. There is no propulsion coming from its engines, though. It seems to just be gliding along. As I mentioned, there's no lights running or interior lights observable to you. You see in big letters, same as on your ship, in big letters on the side, it says USCSS Kronos. Miller, probably in the back, maybe looking at the table, notices something that you hadn't seen before, which is that this ship, according to the records, has been missing for 5 years. Whaling-Utah, the last contact it had with the company or with United Americas was 5 years ago. Davis, as you kind of glide around the ship, who's looking out the window, by the way? Or everybody or nobody? You tell me. Cham?
Everybody.
Okay.
So I think the captain actually asked to see if we could raise him on the radio. So I don't think I'm looking out the window. I'm working on the radio.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you can try to hail him. Who wanted to get on the comms?
I was.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Rye. What do you say?
Oh, I say this is the USS Montero. We're responding to your distress call. Over. Please advise.
Nothing. In fact, you can tell that their communication equipment is not even receiving your message.
Ah.
Usually when you send a message, you'll get some sort of feedback that says, that your signal reached the ship or it was, went into their communication system. It's like there is no communication system or it's completely off.
Would it be possible, in these ships, can you turn off the communication, or is this showing some kind of damage?
That leads to where I was going with the observation. Let's have you guys make an observation roll. So we'll say usually with observation, when you have a group roll, any one of you that's doing the observation can make the roll. Usually you'll want the person with the best observation to do it. So there's 4 of you doing it. The maximum number of helpers you can have is 3. So you're going to have whoever makes the roll plus 3 dice on an observation check for me. So observation is a wits-based skill. So it's probably going to be the smartest of you. And check your sheet and see how many dice, and you guys figure out who wants to make this roll.
I'm working with 4 dice.
Steven's got 4. Rye has
I've
4.
got 1. Well,
You must have more than that. You have 2. You have 2 wits, right? And do you have any skill in observation?
oh wait, let me double check. Yeah,
Because remember, you take your ability plus your skill level
that's right.
in
that's right.
observation.
Yeah, so I'm not so bad. I'm with 3 though. Still not the highest.
Okay.
I got 5.
All right.
All
So
right.
it sounds like Davis is the most observant of you. So Davis, you're going to make a roll. Now, the downside of you doing it is you do have that point of stress, so you might panic. Right?
Do I-
Didn't you get? Was it you that got the point of stress?
No,
Oh,
that
it
was
was Rye.
Rye.
Sorry,
No, that
sorry.
was Rye.
Okay, never mind then. So go ahead and make an observation roll. Your 5 dice, and then add 3.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for the assistance. Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So you see the ship,
system is so scary.
but that's about the best I can tell you. There is indeed a ship out there. Do you want to
Can I
push
push? Yeah.
it? Sure, why not? So add a point
Failing
of
an
stress.
observation roll in Alien is so terrifying.
Yeah. Okay.
Add a stress and then roll all those dice again. It'll automatically add. There you go. All right. So you got 2 successes. This is
Worth
what
it,
I can
worth it.
tell you. First of all, you can see that the ship has clearly suffered some sort of exterior damage. There are large dents scattered across the hull. As I mentioned, checking the sensors, looking outside, compiling all the available data that you guys have, talking to everybody, and kind of have everybody put their input in. You're able to kind of discern that the only emissions coming from this ship is that SOS signal. Probably Rye would tell you that this is sort of like a automatic SOS. Someone didn't push a button to do this. This is something that the ship would have done automatically in an extreme emergency. Sort of a last attempt to get some sort of help. This is not user done. This is a computer generated sort of emergency broadcast. In fact, it's usually not even, Rye will also tell you, it's not even that, it's even set up so that even if the mother, the mainframe running the ship was down, it would still send this. Let's see. You also observe I think I'm going to roll a random die first, see what else you learn. You also observe that all of the escape pods are missing. They're all gone. And I don't recall how many there are in the ship, but there's a fair number, and they're all gone. They've all been ejected or something happened to them.
All right, looks like this might have just changed. Our mission profile might have just changed here.
Actually, I'll give you one more thing too. In observing the damage to the ship, you note that there doesn't seem to be any hull. The hull hasn't been pierced or broken, except for one spot in the starboard aft of, I think it's C deck. One moment. Starboard aft of C deck, there is about a 2 meter high by 1 meter wide wrench or rip in the hull, leading it would be where it would lead into what's called reactor relay control. Reactor relay control is where all of the energy created by the reactor is diverted to the different parts and the different systems of the ship. It's a very sensitive area. If it's damaged, basically the ship could be running, the reactor could be running, but there'd be no power going anywhere. It would does that make sense? The conduits to all the other systems of the ship would be disrupted. Yeah.
So what would be the impact? Would we be having heat building up in the system, or
No, the reactors are generally able to run without much maintenance for years and years. They wouldn't necessarily lead to a catastrophic failure of anything, or it wouldn't lead to the destruction of the ship or anything, but it just would. It may if there was damage in there, it could explain why there's no power of in the ship.
all right? And that's there's actually a breach in the hull there, or
Right.
Okay.
So most of the ship, the ship looks like it's been bombarded or banged up in many different spots along the hull, but none of those, whatever is bumped and banged the ship, has broken through the hull, except in that one spot at C deck, starboard rear, the reactor relay control area.
I'm still willing to take those bets, guys.
So Wilson says, well, we've got a job to do, folks. Our contracts require us to seek out, to explore any emergency signals and to rescue any survivors and to salvage and return the property of the company. And this is a very valuable piece of property right here. So, Captain, what's your plan?
Well, I don't want to risk hooking up the umbilical until we're sure we have positive pressure. So I think we need to get in there and fix that relay. Rye, do you think you can handle that?
Yeah, I hate spacewalks, but I can probably get through there.
Well, do you feel like you need some backup?
Well, I don't normally do any of the heavy lifting, repair work to repair that breach in the hull. So I might be able to get the computers back up and going or fix any damage, but I'm not sure I can.
Well, I just want to get the reactor relay online so we can get life support systems confirmed.
Yeah, I can probably do that.
Yeah. So, do you need to go it alone?
I'll do it alone. It's fine.
The
I'll just take my share out of yours.
This is a good time for you guys to check out the handouts. I think it sounds like Richard already did a little bit at least. The ones about the Montero. So he's referring to the umbilical. Richard looks like he froze up. You there, Richard?
Yeah, is he frozen for everyone as well?
Yeah. Well, I'll explain to you guys, and we'll fill him in when he gets back. So take a look. There's a handout talking about the Montero, And then there's one that has a list of the equipment that you guys have available to you that are in the stores of the ship. Hey,
There, yeah.
looked like you froze up for a minute, but you're back. Or maybe you're froze again.
Yeah. Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is an umbilical, and what that means is there's this retractable umbilical that goes from your ship, and it hooks up to the airlock of another ship, and you can pressurize it once it creates a seal. You each also have, he referred to the fact that maybe the ship doesn't have any pressure, which is a good idea something to think about, or it has no oxygen or environment inside. You do all have, I think there's 5 spacesuits that you can each put on, which will allow you to move around in vacuum. It provides you with air for a significant period of time. The ship has multiple airlocks that are apparent to you in your sort of survey around the ship. There's a airlock on the top of the ship towards the front. Let me get my list. A dorsal airlock, which would lead into A deck of the ship. There is a door on the very front. No, check that. There's a B deck aft door. So in the back of the ship, at the back on the B deck level, there's a heavy blast door, which would lead into the ship. There is a C deck airlock in the forward part of the ship. This is an airlock that its use in Alien, they did the same thing. When they went down to LV 426, they walked out of the airlock. They got into this sort of elevator when they were outside the ship, and the elevator lowered down to the surface. That's what this would do. So there's that entrance. There's the hull breach that you guys have noticed. There is large in the forward part of D deck. There's large bay doors. These are the big vehicle doors. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Prometheus, but there's all of these trucks and stuff that they had inside of the ship, and they drive out of there. So these are big vehicle bay doors in the front. You can go through there. It would decompress. If there was oxygen and stuff in there, it would decompress that whole deck probably. And then also on D deck, there are 2 smaller, doorway type airlocks on each side of the ship, leading in from D deck. So you've got a lot of options if you want to try to get into the ship. You guys are talking about sending Rye across in a spacewalk.
Right. And my thinking is, if something went wrong here, limiting the exposure of the limiting Rye's exposure to whatever went wrong is probably best. So let's try and move the ship in as close as we can to that breach, and then Rye, you can just spacewalk right over there and see, and at least do an initial assessment.
Does that breach look like it's something I could get in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So Rye, I imagine you're gonna wear a compression suit because you don't want to die. And is there anything else you want to take with you?
Yeah. So I was looking at the equipment. So I assume I have some kind of tech equipment like engineering toolbox kind of thing.
Sure.
Generic. It looks like there's a cutting torch, so I probably need that in case I need to seal anything up or cut through some debris or something. And then there's a grappling gun, which seems like it's the kind of thing that I would need if the spacewalk goes bad and I need to attach someplace.
Yeah.
So that sounds good.
You might need it just to approach the ship too, because you're basically you're approaching the ship, but you're probably still, I don't know, 100 meters or so from the ship, a safe approach.
Uh-huh.
Davis, if you want to do a real fancy approach, where you get like real close, you can make a roll. It's risky, but you could try to get super close if you want.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay. So what I want you to make We'll call it just a straight up piloting roll, okay? So Rye is getting busy. Meanwhile, Davis is approaching as ordered by the captain, but Davis decides to take their initiative and go ahead and get extra close.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. There's some good odds. No modifiers because Davis is doing this of her own volition.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So this is a good opportunity to talk about stunts too. So you've gotten 2 successes. The first success is to be a success, and the second success allows you a chance to do a stunt. So if you go to the copy of Alien Rule Summary, page 8, and you look under piloting, there's a couple there's gain +1 modification to a later skill roll related to this one,
I think I know which way you're going.
or show off.
I mean, if one were trying to min max this, you'd go for the former, but no, Davis is just. This is a nice break from Nati. Honestly, how would she show up? I think it's like. I think the way she would do it is like, and this is gonna. I don't know if it translates into fiction or at least in alien fiction, but I think the maneuver is just really smooth. Like Davis actually does kind of like, instead of like making wisecracks, actually calm and serene. So I think it's less like the ship is like doing all ollie oops and barrel rolls, and more like this looks so textbook and so nice as it like lines up to so that Ryan does not have to use the grapple hook, and Davis just looks like the most professional you've ever seen her. It's weird. She looks like a proper pilot. And then once she kind of like docks her eye, she kind of gives everyone like this big wolfish grin, as if like, oh yeah, I could do this anytime I want. I just choose not to.
I think we all get real nervous whenever Davis gets quiet.
Yeah,
I was about to say.
Rye, you're probably standing, outside the airlock. You're putting on the spacesuit, and there's a window, and you're looking out the window, and you're looking through the airlock out to out into space in the window, from the outside, and you see the other ship getting closer. You're like, okay, that's fine. That's the plan, and it gets closer and closer and closer and closer. How close does it get, Davis? How far does he have to go from ship to ship, do you think?
I think it's quite. Let's see. I got 2 successes, so I'd say like it's like. I mean, I don't want to make him work feet. I don't know how close to be without being like ridiculous.
Like 10
it's
meters?
Like a few feet.
Let's say 5 meters.
Yeah.
Let's say 5 meters. So
yeah.
He's going to have to. It's going to have to be a jump push type thing, but it shouldn't be too bad.
I think whenever we get about 20 meters away, that's whenever I jam the intercom button. I'm like, hey, stop! We're gonna hit. Oh, okay.
And now both ships are perfectly aligned, moving at the exact same speed, 0.04 light speed, which is still incredibly fast. And your airlock is aligned with this hole in the other ship, and you can see that there's no atmosphere venting from this. Okay. And otherwise, nothing. You don't see anything else. Where's everybody else while this spacewalk is going to happen?
I'm on the bridge.
Okay.
Cham will have the shutters open to keep an eye on Rye.
Right. You're up in the bridge too, then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're up in the. I'm imagining. I don't know if there is an airlock on our map of the Montero. Let me drag you guys back over to that, or I guess you're already still there. No, they don't show an airlock, but I'm imagining it. I'm imagining on sort of the. You see where the galley is, and then there's that junction to the left of it. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining there's an airlock, right over there, going out on that side. So your ship is aligned like that. So Cham, you're up on the bridge, looking out the window, kind of looking back to see, Rye as they come out. And Wilson's going to be up on the bridge, kind of just sitting and tapping away on the data transmitter or the personal data pad. And who does that leave? Miller's on the bridge. Rye is going. Davis is probably you're at the controls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen, what I want you to do is go ahead and add to your character sheet. You're going to add the compression suit, the torch, the cutting torch, and what was the other thing you said you were taking?
The grappling gun.
The grappling gun, the harpoon gun. Okay. So take a second to do that, and you will find their stats under the cutting torch. It helps with heavy machinery stuff, but it also can be used as a weapon in hand-to-hand combat. You can try to, burn things with it. So it's under close combat on the alien equipment sheet. And what you do in Roll20, let me get your sheet here, is you go to your character sheet, and down towards the bottom, there's a bunch of places for weapons. So you're going to do weapon number, Roman numeral 1. So you're going to write in cutting torch, and then you go down. It has you list its bonus, which I think is 0, and its damage is 3. Its ranged is engaged. It has 1 weight. And you're going to want to click close combat, the close combat box. It probably already is listed there. Write the name of it in there, cutting torch. And it also has power. We'll talk about power when we use it, but it basically limits how much you can use it. It also has armor piercing, which is nice. And it also, like we said, we can use it as a heavy machinery tool. So go ahead and add the cutting torch. And then also the other thing was the harpoon gun, which is a range combat weapon. So that's under rifles. And then there's a compression suit under suits and armor. And a compression suit has armor, a little bit of armor, and it also has an air supply. This is the compression suit that they use in the first movie, the big, bulky, 1970s style, American mission to the moon kind of spaceship or a spacesuit. It has lights that you can use. It has a camera that feeds back to the ship. So maybe one of you guys is sitting at a console watching what Rye sees. While Steven's writing this all in, there's actually things you guys can do if needed from the inside the ship to help him. In this game, especially I think probably Miller is really good at this. There's a skill called command. And when you use command, you can spend your turn to basically say, Rye, shoot that, or watch out, jump to the left. And you'll make your command roll, and all your successes can be added to whatever if he does what you say, you'll add your successes to his dice pool when he does what you tell him to do. So sitting there at the console, you can have an active part in whatever happens to our friend Rye.
So is that a roll that I make and then I have a pool that I'm holding from, or?
No, you'll make it at the time.
Okay.
It's kind of like, imagine like in Aliens when Gorman, the Lieutenant Gorman, is sitting in the APC.
Yeah.
And he's watching all those video screens, and he says, "Hey, Pone, have him pull back or whatever." He's making that command roll from afar,
All right.
He failed his roll, but
Maybe I won't.
Yeah. So usually when you make a space jump like this, you would attach a tether to yourself that will keep you from floating off into space. You want to do that, Rye? And being as close as you are, you're pretty much just going to kind of like have a leap of faith and hope that you hit that ship without, anything bad happening. As close as you can to the hole in their hull.
Okay, so I noticed on the suit it says -1 agility.
Yeah.
Do I just add that into my stats or just make a note?
We'll apply that when we make rolls.
Perfect. I just don't want to forget.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that I kind of line everything up, and I'm going to make my jump tethered in. Boy, I don't like doing spacewalks. This is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what I want you to do, you go into the airlock. You it takes a moment for the air to circulate out or to be pumped out, and you're in then the outer hatch opens up, and you see this massive, this other massive ship in front of you, and you hook on your tether to the outside of the ship, to a line or to a like a hook or whatever on the outside of the ship, and you make your jump. So what I want you to do is I want you to make a mobility roll, but since you're so close, we're going to give you 2 extra dice. Okay, so you're going to make a mobility roll, and I think that is an agility. So this is where you would apply your -1 from your suit.
Yes, I'm only going to add 1 modifier.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh.
Excellent.
What'd you get? I'm not there.
I got 3 successes and a success on the stress die.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so 4
That's right.
successes.
I forgot to mention that. Yep, you can get gaining stress actually makes you better at things too, as long as you don't panic. So you got 4 big successes. So we can go to mobility, and if you look at mobility, which is right by piloting, it should be.
Yep.
You should see some stunts you can do. Since you got 4 successes, you got the first success just to succeed. So you got 3 extra successes to use as stunts. You really only 2 of them apply here. Make a note that you have a +1 modification to a later mobility roll.
Okay.
And you impress people. You make a wonderful jump. What would be an impressive jump for you think?
So I think what you can do is we can see a little bit of damage on the outside, and there's like a girder, or the skin of the ship is peeled back and it looks sharp. And whenever I jump, I'm able to expertly kind of avoid that area, almost like I'm surfing my way in.
Okay. So you go right through the hole, right into the room?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get to the right spot here. Okay. So you glide, perfect speed, right through this hole, turning a little bit just so you don't scrape against anything. And seeing it up close now, this is the signs. I'm not sure what the sure signs would be, but you can tell with your experience, this is certainly the signs of meteor damage.
Yeah. Some
sort of large meteor bashed a hole right through here, and apparently bounced away somewhere else. So you can certainly see it's all busted in and wrenched open in the middle. This is not a terribly large chamber. I think it's, let me drag you guys to that map. C deck. So you all should be seeing C deck now. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome.
And at the back, at the aft of the ship on the starboard side, the right side, you see the reactor relay control. And those little, yep, exactly. And those little symbols, one of them means terminal, and the other one means intercom. And as you can see, each, a square, so to speak, is a 2 by 2 meters. The scale is up at the top. It's basically about 6 meters across, hexagonal room or is that octagonal? It's octagonal. And there's 2 thick blast doors here. To your right is a blast door that leads out into a maintenance shaft. And to your left, or straight ahead as you come in, is a massive blast door which leads into the reactor, and it has a big, danger radiation signal on the door. You have a heads-up display which reads "No radiation," though. You're not picking up any rads being in here. There's a where it shows the terminal. There's a table with a complicated set of controls that control the dispersal of power to different parts of the ship, and you can see that a lot of the leads into this have been either overloaded or smashed by probably the impact of this meteor. You do think you should be able with some electronics work, you should be able to make some bypasses and get it back working, though, given it probably about a half hour. It's going to be about a half hour. You estimate about a half hour of work. This room is, like I said, it's not that big. It is tall, though. It's probably 10 meters high, and there's conduits and wires all lining the walls. These actually, in your ship, it would be a mess of a beehive or a mouse's nest of wires and just everything jury rigged. But this is actually cleanly done. But it's a thick layer of all these conduits and wires all along these walls. And a lot of them have these smooth covers on them to kind of protect the wires and so on. And the terminal has a dull blue light, the only light coming from this is this dull blue light coming, this sort of emergency power, battery power backup coming from this terminal. Other than getting to work, is there anything else you'd like to do before you get at it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to untether from the Montero.
Okay.
So it doesn't yank me out. And I think I'll put it like on a magnet or something on the outer hull. And then I'll tether inside so I'm connected to this ship just to be safe.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get to work, start looking at things and seeing what I can do. I'm going to play up a little bit about how hard this looks. I'm going to be like, man, look at all this stuff. It's smashed. It's going to take me a few hours to get through this. This is awful. These guys know what they're doing, but man, it's going to be tough. I think there was a meteor strike or something that hit here. Yeah. There's no way anybody survived this.
All right. Keep an eye out. We don't know what went on over there.
Whatever.
Okay. Let me look something up here. Oh, where is this? Here we go. Okay. So we have, you're going to make a, you're going to make a ComTech roll, and unfortunately your torch and stuff doesn't really help with this. So I think it's ComTech. Is ComTech agility? No, it's wits, isn't it? So that's not affected by your suit. Okay.
Okay.
It's really difficult. It's really hard.
Yeah. So it's frustrating. This the machinery is the cold of space has affected some of the wiring over whatever it's 5 years or so you hear that it's been out here. You just can't make it work. Are you gonna push ahead and try again?
Oh yeah, there's a lot on the line here.
So give yourself a stress.
Yeah.
Hold on. I wanna maybe try to bring command in here. I'm gonna tell him. All right, Rye, just focus. I know this isn't some jury rig massive spaghetti like you're used to, but just think it's like it looks just like the manuals.
Okay, so you're gonna make a command roll first, and we'll see how that helps.
One.
Okay, so that's going to give you a +1.
Okay. And just make the same contact roll.
The
but
exact
add
same
one.
roll, add a stress, and give yourself +1 on modifier.
Okay.
All right, so that's 2. So you succeed, and then you can stunt. What do you want to have as your comtech stunt?
Let me look for just a second.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on page 9.
Yeah. Oh, I get new or unexpected information.
Okay. Let me roll these dice for no reason.
Oh,
Okay, no problem.
Okay. New information, eh? I will say, hold on. I will say that you can tell that when this room was heavily damaged by the meteor that hit it, the automated systems, and it was automated backup systems that did this, not Mother. Mother did not do this. The automated system locked down, dropped the blast doors, that you've already seen, and it also blocked it, in a to be overly safe, it also dropped blast doors, cutting off most or all of rather the aft sections of C and D decks. So if we can get in, I guess briefly I can tell you the more details. We can get back to it if it becomes important. But if you look at C deck, moving up the ship towards the front, there's a junction. It says junction C2. You see that? All of those doors into that junction, blast doors, have also been shut down by the automated system. Okay. And also, blast doors have closed off entry into the catwalk that overlooks it says open to D deck. So there's a catwalk that you kind of cross over, and if you look over the side, you'd be looking down into the vehicle bay of D deck. So those doors leading into that aft area have also been shut down by the automated system. Does that make any sense? Questions?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay.
So you said that. So obviously, there's been a breach here, and
Yeah.
we haven't been able to find any power. Was I able to find anything out about whenever I connected things back up? About the stasis pods.
No, you would need to get to either Mother or the bridge to really kind of assess other systems.
Okay.
All you can tell from here is like what I told you about kind of what happened when the emergency event happened.
Yeah.
But you can also, the only other thing you can tell now is that now, maybe there's probably actually audible hum of energy that's starting to course out into the ship. Whether it's actually activating systems or not, you don't know. You just know that now the power that's coming from the reactor can now be cycled out into the ship. Before it wasn't, it was getting stuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I want you to make a observation roll for me.
Awesome. Let's see.
And I'm going to roll some dice for no reason.
For no reason. And no modifiers.
Let's see. Observation is wit skill. Is that right?
Yeah.
So nope, straight up.
Okay, nothing.
Okay. Do you want to live with that, or do you want to push it?
I think I'm going to live with that. I think I radio back once I hear the hum and everything coming back up. I say, "Are you guys seeing lights turn on? Can you see any energy getting there? Because it looks like everything was locked down over here, and the energy's coming out of this room, but I don't know where all it's going."
Okay. You start talking, and you guys on the ship, you probably see it before Rye does. Some sort of like thick, clear substance drops onto the top of his helmet, and he's just talking to you. And Rye, you finally notice that there's this stuff dripping down your helmet.
Mhm.
Although I guess in space, would it drip down? Because I guess there's still.
That's such a horrible.
It probably wouldn't have dropped. let me redo this, because that probably would not have worked in space, right? Although I guess it might have if it was propelled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's say that is so. And you look up, and there's this massive black as space creature that's coming out of the wires above you, up in the wall.
Uh-huh.
And it's got this long oblong head with this glistening black carapace over it, shiny, and with your lights shining on it. And it seems to be looking at you. It's moving very strangely and slowly, though. It's just sort of like, it's almost graceful, but very awkward and strange the way it's moving, very slowly. And it turns this long head, and it looks at you, and this mouth open. You see this mouth is open, this massive mouth with these teeth that are metallic, these metallic teeth. And there's this slime, and and suddenly, this, you can see that this that has opened its mouth, and there's this inner mouth that like juts out, in front of it. And it's done that, and some sort of slime has been projected through space, and it's hit your helmet. And it just sort of looks at you, and it's, for the moment, it's moving slowly. And we have to roll initiative, but we'll do that next time.
Awesome. Oh my god.
So in game mechanics terms, what happened, just for, if you care, but is it woke up, it made a roll to wake up. And you failed to notice it. And so it would have gotten a surprise turn, but it's waking up. So it's sluggish at first. So they sort of canceled each other out. You were surprised, but it was sluggish. So we're stuck at, just straight up combat round once we begin next time.
Sounds
all
good.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, is he going to? I remember, like, we would get stressed if we saw something awful.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering whether we should do that now. And you guys are watching it too on the screens. At least Miller and Jammy were, or Miller and Cham were. Let's, because he also has to make a panic roll too.
Yeah, we can roll into that next time. We're all going.
Yeah, let's do that next time.
Together.
I'll make a note that, I'll make a note to apply stress, forcing xenomorph, and make panic roll.
Whew. Good times.
You set the pacing of that up perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't covered a lot of ground. There's a lot more to go, but I kind of expected this first session to be a lot of learning the system,
set
just sort
up.
of getting
Setting
set
the
up.
tone.
Yeah, so I'm happy we got onto the ship, and good luck, Rye.
That's okay. I can always roll up another character.
Yep. Well, I think we'll probably save like stars and wishes kind of things for maybe after next session. So let's not worry about that yet. Any questions or comments before we sign off for today? All right, great. So same time next week, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
game.
Don't
Thank
forget
you
to
so
ask about
much.
posting.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Is everyone comfortable posting to YouTube?
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Cool.
Great. All right, I will do that. See you guys next week. Oh, and the
Yeah.
fifth player dropped out, so that's okay though.
Oh, okay.
Four players is fine. It's perfect.
So if any one of us dies, we can just jump in as Wilson.
That's right. You can look forward
Yeah.
to that. Rye's already good
awesome.
friends with Wilson, anyways.
Yeah. This is good stuff, though. I really like it. I had such a good time.
Good.
Thanks very much, folks.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night.
Bye.